All right. Hot Breathiverse. Welcome back to Hot Breath, the show where you learn comedy from the pros. I am your host, comedian Joel Byers, and what we are doing here at Hot Breath is cultivating the next generation of great comics. And our interview today is actually part of our journey to tracing the journey of recording your own album. A member of the Hot Breathiverse, Steve Rogers, is actually on his own personal endeavor to create his own success by creating his own album. We've already interviewed him once in our podcast, which is now also available everywhere you find Hot Breath. And all these Q&As happen inside our Facebook group. So if you're interested in leveling up your comedy and you want to connect with comics around the world and get involved in future Q&As like this one with Steve, go join the Facebook group. It's linked in the show description, and you will not be disappointed. Your comedy will thank you. But without further ado, thank you to everyone tuning in live. And without further ado, let's welcome back to the Hot Breathiverse the one and only Steve Rogers, everyone. Give Steve some love here. Give him
Hey
some
man,
love.
how are you?
Let me see if I can get a sound effect going. Oh, is it not? Is a sound effect going? Anyway.
He's
Oh, the
looking for the
sound was
boo
down.
button.
I'm sorry. What a great. There's the applause. Okay. What a great start to this episode. Steve, welcome back, buddy.
Hey man, thanks for having me, Joel. I appreciate it. You were looking for the boo button, and it
Ah!
took you a little bit.
Ooh. Dude, the ooh button. So it's good to have you back here, Steve. We had you on a few weeks ago now. Maybe it may have been like a little over a month now.
Yeah, I think a month or so.
Yeah. And when we first jumped into it on our first episode, it was more of kind of like getting the groundwork of, hey, I'm trying to record an album, not even
Mm,
quite sure what I'm doing. I have some road gigs set up. I'm going to try to record it. That's kind of where we left off last time.
right.
No even plan about, oh, we're going to get it on Sirius, maybe release it through this label. It's more like you're a comic wanting to create their own album. Here is me jumping in head first and kind of figuring out how to fly as I fall. You're kind of building the
Mhm,
wings as you fall out of the plane, which I think is so
right.
important for so many comics to understand. Starting is the hardest part. You don't need to have all the answers. Just
Mm,
start and you will figure it out on the way down. So I appreciate
right.
you being so vulnerable and transparent with sharing this process
Of
with the Hot
course.
Breathiverse.
Happy to do so. It certainly has been a process.
Uh-huh.
I think the only thing that's changed is I got a haircut. Uh, I think that's the only progress I've made. Um, yeah, my neighbor's car alarm's going off, so it really is matching the tone of how I feel.
Hilarious. We can't hear it though. Don't
Oh,
worry.
thank
This is
God.
not
All right.
panic attacking podcast. Don't worry. Just relax.
I hate to
Everything's
break
fine.
it to you. Anytime I'm on a podcast, it is it is panicking. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, I've been on the road a few times. I was there a question before I start to answer a question?
No. I mean, people are chiming in here.
Okay.
Like, yay, Steve Rogers. Thanks for
Oh,
doing
that's nice.
this. People giving you applause and things like that. It's more of just kind of like where we left off. Where are you now? What is you had some road gigs? How did those
Yes.
go in planning to record and like what's been going on with the process?
So, it's obviously been very weird. I'm sure there are other people going through this as well right now, as far as deciding to do an album during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it's hard for all of us right now, obviously. But it's like a battle. You're battling the rust that you gained. At least I am from March to when I was able to get back up again, which may have been May or June. And so it was a battle of that. It was a battle of doing long. The longest set I can get in right now is a 20 minutes when I get to open for Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I realized trying to record an album, which some people have been able to pull off during a feature set, is way harder than we think it is because people that are recording something, they have, let's say, 2 shows and it's an hour long. And granted, if you're the headliner, you could just be flat out. And I've heard stories of this. I've never seen a live taping. I've heard people go, "Look, I got to do that joke again. I messed up that joke, and this is my last show that's being recorded." So there's a little bit of that. I can't do that as a feature when it's like, "Hey, I'm secretly recording this, even though you guys don't know who I am. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that joke again. You know how I just earned your love and respect? I'm gonna put that to the test." Uh,
Oh
5 minutes in, and so it's really um, I had to adopt the mindset of let's go and have the most fun I can have on stage, uh, and have it recording. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's okay.
yeah. Mhm.
And that's very important. The most I've learned so far is patience. Um, I did a And another thing is venues. The acoustics are obviously a very important part of this. And
Mhm.
I did the Attic in Bloomington, which is a wonderful club, amazing club. I had great shows. Boy, do I wish I knew how to use equipment.
Oh
Being
no.
Yeah, they didn't record. Like I was the recorder. I did not do it right. So there's no record of it, of shows that I could have done it. Um, and you just have to let that water off a duck's back kind of thing. And now I'm doing runs with Brian where it's a different show in a different venue. And if you do get a recording of that, there is a sound difference. So
Oh,
de-
yeah.
depending on the venue. So if I perform a half hour uh in Kentucky in a comedy club, their building is not the identical to the one I just did in Huntsville, Alabama.
Mhm.
So if I were to put that together, it's clear to the audience listening, oh, this is two different shows. Why did it just drastically sound different?
Mhm.
And if a joke does great in one show and not so in another, you can't Frankenstein an album from two different venues because the sound's going to be horrible.
Yep.
So I've had those are the things I've run into the most as of right now.
What happened at the Comedy Attic that well, one, what were you using to record with at the Comedy Attic?
I have a Zoom H6,
Mhm.
and I have a comedian friend of mine who records his own albums lent me his audience mics. So I have two audience mics that I plug into the H6, which is plugged into the microphone, and they're just set up in a way to aim at the most people. And that's another thing is where are they? They're obviously all 6 feet apart from each other. So
Oh, yeah.
that's another thing is you can still it can still sound great, but it's like how far apart are they from each other? Are If they're wearing masks, that's great health wise, but not great sound wise.
I didn't even
Uh,
think about that.
yeah, so I really picked a wonderful time to
Mhm.
try and do this, but I think I'm learning a lot, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm choosing to look at the bright side of that. But yes, an H6 recorder.
Yeah, and that we did go into the equipment last
Mhm.
time as well. I do remember in more detail, but what is interesting now is hearing you we kind of this was before we put it into action. This was more of like, here's my game plan. I know I
Right.
plugged the recorder into the board and then plug these mics
Yeah.
into the recorder, and it's gonna be magic. Then you get to the Comedy Attic, great show, it's all recorded, and then you look and you're like, oh, wait, did it not record? Did you like
Right.
not hit record or like what?
I hit record. It did not record the audience mics, the most
Oh.
important sound on a comedy album. Uh, I'd rather you hear the laughter than me. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, you could just pick me up, and it's picking up from the microphone, not, it's not like when you record on your phone where you can hear everything. when you
Mhm.
record on these different tracks, the if it only records my mic, you hardly, if at all, hear laughter.
Yep. Yep.
So it sounds like me just pausing and then starting up again. So it sounds horrible as far as like you're missing half of an album.
Mhm.
And so that was very frustrating, especially when it's one of those shows. I had this moment, which I'm sure you experienced during yours. I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is this is the one. I'm
Ooh.
just stay in this moment. Don't overthink. You're having a ball. They're having a ball.
Mhm.
This is definitely the recording. Can't and then you don't have it. But you learn from failure, and
Mhm.
certainly our business involves a lot of that. So that's what's happening.
Did was Brian aware that you're recording and that there was a mishap? Did you have any words of encouragement?
Brian is very encouraging. Um, I've had these audience mics set up in a way where my I mentioned this before, I believe. When I'm the feature, I'm the opener. Uh, he comes first. Headliner comes first. Like,
Mhm.
uh, if so, equipment can't be in his way. If he doesn't want me to record, I don't record. Thankfully he's the most generous person in the world, so he was totally fine with it. But make sure the equipment's not in the way. Well, I've had these audience mics hidden, so sometimes he doesn't even know that I'm trying on a show. And one show recently, I had to have the audience mics a little further up, so they were obviously visible to him, and he didn't know what they were. He never had noticed them before. So
Oh.
during his set, he started making fun of the audience mics, uh, not knowing that they were. And I had said to the host, who is my girlfriend, I was like, "Should I move the mics? Like, you think he's gonna notice that? I don't want to cause any problems." She's like, "No, it's gonna be fine." And he spent like 3 minutes making fun of whoever put those there, not
Uh-huh.
knowing it was me. So other than that, it's been pretty great. But in that moment, it's difficult. But he's very encouraging. He's recording his Netflix special um, this month,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, in an outdoor theater. And I've been watching himself prepare for a recording, and that's been very encouraging and comforting. Just seeing, oh, this guy is playing with things, and he's working it out, and you can play with something until the last minute, which we
Mhm.
discussed before. And so that's been the most help, is watching him get ready for recording, and seeing someone who's done it so many times, and you're doing it your first time. It really lowers the anxiety levels.
That's pretty serendipitous too that you're both working on recording something at the same time. That's pretty
Right.
cool.
Yeah. It's been great.
So you've tried to record a few times then at a few different
Oh
shows
yeah.
and it hasn't quite just happened.
No, it's like I have like I could have some tracks that I could send to Sirius. Like
Mhm.
uh I know that I could send that and it would do well and everything, but I am a little bit of a perfectionist, and I kind of just, also I'm a comedy nerd, so it's like, no, I don't want to release an EP. I want to release an album.
Mhm.
Like an EP is good. I know a lot of people that have released those 20-minute ones that are really good, but and I'll probably have to settle at some point if I can't get it. But I'd like to release a whole thing, and I just haven't had that all the stars aligned yet. Either
Gotcha.
one thing went wrong here or one thing went wrong there, and
Yeah.
that's me just learning the equipment. And the thing I didn't put into account is, when you produce your own album and record it yourself, is those, when you do it with a label or anything, they're setting it up. You don't have to think about it. You just go up there and you just do your set.
Mhm.
And I'm the guy that's running chords through things and tying things to this, and then all of a sudden I'm running up on stage, which can make you not in your head about your set until you get up there. Then you're like, oh my god, I haven't thought about jokes until I grab the microphone. So it
Exactly.
is. I am learning that kind of thing, and why labels deserve some way more credit than I probably gave them last time. Uh,
But that
now,
is also, yeah, something I think comics to think about is like, because I did, before I recorded my special and realized it was a special, not an album, I did try like a few DIY recordings where I plugged it into the board. At one show, the host was on stage and I was still trying to get all my equipment together, and
yeah.
I somehow thought I could quickly enough, while the host is performing, plug in the
Oh,
recorder. The sound goes off. This is a sold out show.
oh
The
my
sound on
god.
the mic goes off for like 5 seconds as I'm like, oh, that was me. And then I had to like fix it really quick. But that was
Oh,
me, that DIY of like, yeah, I'll just plug it in real quick. But that's what you're saying. There's a big distraction. I was about to go on stage, which is why I was scrambling. So there is a
mhm.
value to having someone that audio is their job,
Right,
to hire them to do it, or if you have a friend that has done it before,
right.
invite them to the show to help you out. Like for the comedy special taping, what I ended up doing, I had an audio guy and I had video. Like I was like,
Mhm.
the video guy was like, yeah, I can do both. I was like, let's not even risk. You're the video guy. Here's the audio
Yeah.
guy. You both just focus on what you need to do, and then we can bring them together. And that really alleviated a lot of stress for everyone, of just like, this is your job, this is your job, this is my job. Let's everyone do their jobs and we'll have a great success here.
100% agree. I think the only thing that stopped me from doing that is they're not my shows.
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, another just respect to the headliner. I'm not going to bring a film guy or a audio guy to
Yep.
mess with a thing.
Yep.
Um,
Makes perfect sense.
and that's the other added trickiness level right now is with the pandemic. Like, no one knows who I am, understandably, and it's like I'm not going to be headlining anywhere anytime soon, and some places aren't safe to headline yet, even if they are willing to have me. But so it's like it's mainly just featuring for Brian is the only road work I'm getting that I
Mm-hmm.
can, thankfully make enough money to do it all and come back and not be in the red. Um, so that's just another added hardness to it. Is it's just these 20-minute sets and hoping you're just trying to get lightning in a bottle is what
Yep.
it is, more so than it already is recording an album. So it's been but I've learned a lot about patience, and the longer you I've always said this to myself, the longer I have to wait, the better I'm getting.
Yes.
Um so it's like by the time I do it, I'll be the best I've been. So I might as well get better on the way to whenever this recording is.
Exactly. And focusing on what you can control, which is just making it the best show possible.
Yes.
Yes.
Radical acceptance.
I love it. Yes,
Yeah.
radical acceptance. We learned that
Yes.
before the show. You taught me that. I love that.
I love it. Focus on what you can control, which is the material. So I
Yep.
have over here, I have posted notes all over the place, just playing with the
Really? Can we
odor.
see him? Can you?
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Uh-oh, we're making Steve uncomfortable. This is great.
No, you're fine. No,
Great.
it's you're. I'm gonna be moving with the equipment. I don't know how to use. Oh God, see, I already
No, you're
did it.
great. And this is something we did a Q&A with Mike Vecchione, and he showed us his like poster board that he had on his wall with all the different like sticky notes and ideas he has. Um People love seeing that
Let
stuff.
me. Oh God,
Uh-oh.
I accidentally unplugged.
You sound great though.
Okay, great. I'll show you then.
Yay! We're going in deep here, Hot Breath of Verse. And if you're listening to the podcast version, go on YouTube and you'll be able to see his sticky notes as well in
Okay,
that whole
so
process.
all right.
Whoa.
So yes, so right here. Oh God, this is like my dad FaceTiming. Um, okay, so right here. Oh, this is probably
So
not.
cool. And you're going
So
for, and this is just as we're transitioning, Morris is asking how long are you planning the album to be, and like how many bits are you planning to do? And maybe that can parlay into the sticky notes here.
yeah, I'm hoping to do like 45 to 50.
Okay.
Um, but really, it's like don't. I'm not gonna pick a time. I'm gonna pick the jokes that are good. So it's
Beautiful.
like I hope it's 45 to 50, but is it good? Is it like if it's not good, then it's 38,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So whatever is good. And then they're sort of color coded, but this is
Oh, let me bring you up full screen actually, so we
okay.
can. Oh, wait. Ah, ah. I'm gonna switch real quick, everyone, because I want y'all to be able to see um Steve's. Um, I wanted. To, well, there you go, Joel. Never mind. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, this is basically an episode about how we don't know what we're doing. So it really worked. I unplugged the equipment that now you know that I definitely didn't. It is because I didn't record it right because I just undid all the equipment to come over here by accident, and then no one is judging you for not getting in full screen. Uh,
Beautiful.
okay, so what do we? What would you like from me? Photo.
Yeah, so what's going on here with the color coding? Yeah, how is this organized? How are you kind of planning the set?
So this the beauty of like a bunch of people do post-it notes. This is not a me thing. Um, and the reason I did it was it's like when you do it on a spreadsheet or like a Word doc, you can't like you can delete and you can move around and you can keep editing it, but like when it's on a sticky note, it's physical. It's done,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it's an ink. There's nothing more to be done to it except throw it out. Um, so that was my reasoning on that, and as I could move like this, maybe this shouldn't go here, and now I'll just pick it up and put it over here. So it's like seeing how they connect and where I can physically move it is helpful to me. Um, and then the color coding is letting me realize what they're about. So like pink is dating and relationships because I'm really original, and I picked pink for girls. Uh, um, and then the green is two different topics. It's I realize a huge portion of it is body and mind. I have a lot about working out and physicality, and then a lot about anxiety and mental health. So it's like those sort of go together. So there's body and there's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Blue is look at that right there. I got it right. I got it perfectly. Blue is my parents, and then purple is stuff that's like um, it's a mix of things that aren't a huge theme. So it's like there's a Captain America joke in there. There's a couple flying busts, and I'm a big fan of classic rock. So there's that. So it's like stuff that isn't as big of a theme.
Mm-hmm. And is
Yeah.
it organized in order? Like on your wall, is this like beginning to end is left to right?
Um, this was made yesterday. So right now it's what I think is the order,
Great.
but it's going to be looked at in more detail this week because I'm doing a run through of it, and I want to treat the run through as if it is the recording. Um, and no fallbacks like, oh well, I didn't figure out the order yet, or that kind of thing. I'm trying to treat it as a real thing. So I'm
That's
working on
great.
order.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and on the sticky notes, is it just kind of like the headline of the joke, or is it the actual joke written out?
it's just the headline. Um, so now for the dating, I noticed like this one is mostly about me. It's like a fight we got into, or how I am with girls, or one story that was a problem between me and my girlfriend. And then here's like what she's like, and then
Mm,
here's arguments, and then here's like breakup with my ex kind of thing.
very cool.
So it's like I noticed that the anxieties about me, the stuff about exercise and body is about me. Um, you it's mostly about me. So like the dating one was difficult because I have stuff that describes a lot of stuff that describes her, but I'm like, what jokes do I have that teach you what I'm like in a relationship? Because these jokes teach you what I'm like mentally. These jokes teach you what I'm like in a physical experience. uh you learn about me through my parents. What are you learning about me through my girlfriend? So it's like difficult because I'm describing who I'm with, but also I want to show you what I'm like in a relationship. It's hard to. I like my girlfriend. I'm not one of those guys. It's like making fun of their spouse. So it's
Yeah.
like one of those things. So it's just trying to figure out the right order. So it's like, well, you just did a joke about what you're like in an argument with your girlfriend, but now you're talking about your ex, and now you're talking about first dates, and now you're back to arguments again. So it's just making sure that the transitions make sense, so there's not whiplash in a
Yeah.
joke kind of thing. And then it's also seeing if it's like I have one joke about getting an MRI, but I have nothing about going to the doctor or anything like that. So it's like, well, obviously this joke's going to sit out and be on the next thing. Um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's doing the topics justice. Like this one right here, I used to work at a grocery store. I used to be a lifeguard, MRI. There's only three jokes in grocery store and lifeguarding, but it took up years of my life. So it's like, let's do the material justice and wait, because clearly I'm not done on that. I know I'm overthinking, but it's like I don't want to come to a second album and be like, hey, here's the rest of that chunk 3 years later.
Exactly.
So that's my thinking process.
That's such a good process too of thinking about what is the audience learning about me through each of these topics. That's such a great kind of filter to help personalize all of your jokes.
Yeah, I don't want to. Somebody gave me a very nice compliment when I started, which was like they said it felt like I felt like Steven's friend, and I have never met the guy.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I like that. I like being the. I mean, this is an introduction to me, but I want it to be personal enough where you hear me down the line, you're like, well, I know what this guy's like. So if I ever talk about a broader topic like outer space or something, they know who I am first.
Yes.
Um,
That's
also,
gold.
I'm a narcissist, so of course I'm going to talk about myself. Uh,
But
I'm,
it's important because that's the same thing Nate Bargatze said was that like he puts the jokes through him. He can have a
yeah,
joke about his wife, but she isn't the butt of the joke. It's him
correct.
that is the joke. And that was a big shift in his perspective of his writing was oh, people laugh, people get a little uncomfortable if I'm pointing and making a joke of my wife, but if I talk about my wife through me, then that's when the joke becomes funny.
Yeah, I would say I'm very similar.
Mhm.
There's maybe a few times where the punchline isn't me.
Right.
Um, and it just seems to be how I am. Uh, but yeah, I think it. it endears you. I don't want to come off, you still want the audience to root for you. So you don't want to come off like helpless and pathetic or, a jerk. So it's like figuring that out. But yeah, and I want you to know about the people I care about. So like if you learn, oh, he loves his parents, but here's what drives him nuts about his parents, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still on me. Like here's the chaos I went through when my dad got hacked on Facebook, or blah blah blah, like my mom kind of thing. Um, so it's like important that you learn about me because it is an album where it's like this is like the pitch of do you want to follow me as a comedian? Is like the first album is
Mm-hmm.
how I'm seeing
Yeah, it's a very exciting time for you. And how
it. Yeah.
Morris says first album, Steven sounds like my friend. That's the
Huh.
new. That's gonna be the album title.
Oh, that's not bad.
What and how long have you been doing comedy again? Just for people who don't.
Uh, s- 7 years. I think it would be 8 in January.
8 in January. Very nice.
Mm,
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, we do have a few questions coming in here.
sure.
Um, John asks, "Is 10 minutes of material good for me to record an album?"
um, that's funny. I don't know if it's that could be an EP. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the standard is on an EP. Like how long they're usually. If it's always 20 minutes, or I'm going back to. Let's see how good I am with.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. And I've had friends who have recorded like a 20-minute album or something like that. So that it wasn't
Right.
a full length. Oh boy. Where'd we go? Where did we go?
Uh-oh. I'm still here, right?
You're still here.
Oh god, it was the same time I turned on the recorder and I was like, "Is this thing is it is this I shouldn't touch anything."
No, you're great. What's
Okay.
happening? Oh my god. Hold on. We're back. Wait, we're about to be back. Kaboom. That's so funny. That this is everyone. This is the DIY approach to recording an album and podcasting
Oh
and
man.
making comedy. But see, what's so fun is like these are going to be the moments of like, do you remember when Steve Rogers and Joel Byers were doing this stupid Q&A and they couldn't figure out audio or video?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was stupid until you said it. Now now I know how you feel about it. I was wondering why you kept looking at your wrist.
It's not stupid. We're making
I'm
comedy
joking.
history right now. We're
I know
documenting
exactly what
the creative process like never before. So it's not
That's right.
stupid. If anything, it's revolutionary, which people sometimes find as stupid because it's just unfamiliar to them. But what we're doing is truly groundbreaking, Steve. So thank you for
No,
recalibrating my mindset around it.
no. When it comes to me, I'm definitely more stupid than groundbreaking. So you had it right the first time.
Now we're trying to out deprecate each other. No.
This is like watching two nice guys trying to figure out how to get through a conversation. Um, the 10-minute thing, I think you could like. I truly don't think there's anything like. It's almost like right now. It's and you're an example is like anybody can do anything
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. Just it's like what you can do. It's just like for me is am I going to be proud of it? Um, and I'm a little bit of a like I said before, a nerd. I want it to be a full thing, so I can. I've talked to Brian about this. He gets excited about uh, releasing the thing and then slowly getting rid of it so he can work on and play for with a new hour. And it's like I feel like I'm ready for my first time playing with an idea of a new album.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that with 10 minutes, no one's stopping you,
Yep.
and
Yep.
no one's saying get rid of it. But I just see the person he's an example. So is Bargetzi of someone I would like to be like as far as what they're doing. And so I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, so yeah, it's important. Yeah, we're not saying don't do the 10 minutes, but I think two things Steve has said in this interview is one, the number one thing he's learned is patience
Mhm.
throughout this process. And also, two, it's like you want it to be something you're proud of. So
Yeah.
if you've been doing comedy a year or 2 years, I mean, I'm not going to say don't, but I will say probably by year 4, you're going to be like, what was that? And why did I say any of it?
Right.
So it is also like kind of one thing at a time and just honing the craft. I didn't record anything till 10 years in.
Mhm.
Steve is 7, almost 8 years in, and he's recording something because we hit
Yeah.
moments where we're like, okay, I'm proud of this. This is something I'm happy to put out and live on forever.
Right. And with the rate I learn technology, I'll be 10 years in when I record it. So it works.
Hilarious.
Another thing about the patience before we get into the next one,
For sure.
I was, you know, whoever you're with is always your rock, and I was talking to my girlfriend about how I want to record this thing and getting really worried that it won't happen before we whatever comes next. The winter is going to be harder to do more shows because of the times we're in. But she was like, what's the rush? She, you're just going to get better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I said before. Like, but she's truly made me realize that is like, uh, you don't complain about how you don't have it yet, because it's like all that energy could be used to look at a chunk that you're like, well, this is as good as I can get it right now. Well, you have time to make it better. You have time to play with something and make it even 1% better before you record. So that's the mindset I'm choosing.
Yes. Beautiful mindset. And another question is Amanda's asking, have you thought about what city you want to record the album in?
That's a good question. Like I said, I don't think no one knows who I am. I don't have any name stake or whatever the word would be. But I think the first one you're going to have to accept that there's probably going to be a lot of people that know you personally in the audience. I don't know what your experience was, but like so it might be here uh, in New York City, or I'm from upstate New York. Maybe it will be in Syracuse, where I'm from, or Buffalo or Rochester, where I started, was working a lot as I was growing. But probably here in New York, with the way things are, um, is my guess. But I want it to be people that know my sense of humor and already like me,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's a little easier to start over if I mess up on a joke and it's the last show and the last chance, or that kind of thing. So with people and in a place you're comfortable, I heard Anthony DeVito, who's a wonderful comic, say once, record in a place that means something to you. And that's definitely my goal, is to do it in a place that I care about and I want to do well in.
Yeah, that helps get the jitters out too. I mean,
Hmm.
I recorded mine in the first venue that ever headlined me. It was a nice,
Mm,
intimate black box theater called the Basement Theater. And it was, here in Atlanta where I started. So I was able to sell it out with friends and family and students and things like that. So, yeah, it is kind of like a nice kind of victory lap of like, I've done
yeah,
all this work. Now let me just present it to people that are like have been supportive of this journey. I feel like that's a very valuable way to be comfortable in that seemingly uncomfortable situation.
agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, good question, Amanda. Angela is asking, how long will the edited recording be?
Kind of like I said before.
Angela,
Um,
if you weren't listening, jeez. No, I'm
I
just
mean that.
kidding. She actually loved the sticky notes. She said, wow, this is great, while we were over by the sticky notes, but maybe she missed
Oh,
that.
cool. Um, it looks like a passive aggressive roommate just telling me to. It's like laundry, 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 laundry.
Oh, it looks awesome. I'm very impressed with how clean your place is as well. Because most comics would be like, well, let me move the dead body
Yeah,
out of the floor and I'll run over to my sticky notes.
I've learned a lot of, when you get stuck in your apartment for 6 months, you're like, I might as well make it livable. Uh,
Yeah, cluttered space, cluttered mind,
exactly. Um, I don't know how long it's going to be. Like I said before, I hope 45 to 50. I would like, that's a not too long. I don't know if I could do an hour and justify having people listen to me for an hour in my head. So I'd say 45 to 50 is my goal, but like I said before, I want it to be great. I don't want any so things in there and being OCD about the time. So if it's like 38 minutes is the is the killer stuff, then it's a 38-minute album. But I'm hoping 45 to 50 is the goal.
Very nice. Morris asked, will this be on vinyl?
Oh man, I mean, I'm a huge rock fan, and I have a record player, and I'm very like Stones, Alice Cooper, these kinds of guys. I don't know if I could ever put myself on that level, so I think that'd be really cool, but I don't know if I could. I'd have to really be like someone talk me into it, but that would be really cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's why I love documenting this process with you, Steve, because it is you don't have all the answers. Like
Yeah.
you're a comic
Yeah.
who has an idea. Hey, I want to record
Mhm.
an album. Okay, how do I do that? Well, my friend's done it. He has equipment. Yeah, I'll just plug in the equipment on the road and then magic. And then you're like, "Oh, well that didn't work." Okay, well
Right.
let's revisit the drawing board. What's next? Like you're learning as you go, and I think that's so valuable for comics to understand of that process of you're figuring out as we go along. You don't know how
Right.
you're going to release it. You don't know where you want to release it. You maybe want to
Right.
record it here. Like it's all just I have an idea. Here is me putting that idea into action, which is the
Exactly.
hardest part. In a lot of comics, we can overthink or self-doubt around who am I to do X, Y, and Z. But I think you taking action and being just honest about I don't really know yet. I think
Mhm.
that's helping a lot of comics along the way.
Wow. Thank you. That's the first time that my lack of knowledge has led to a compliment. So I really appreciate it. I will I will say this, you and I definitely touched on this last time, but while we're at it, I don't have a manager or an agent or anything like that. Like all of this is just because I want to do it. I'm one of those guys where I'm thankful I get up a lot, but I'm not a hot commodity. Like no one, my inbox isn't being blown up. I'm not
Mm,
one of the guys. So it's like I can't wait. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So I'm just going to do it because I want to do it. I think
yes.
that's important is not getting mad that I'm not bigger or more popular. And it's just like, well, putting in the work that someone that is should. So that's why I'm doing it myself, and that's don't try to be big. Do the work a big person would do is what I'm trying to do.
Boom. And that was my mindset around me recording like 10 years into comedy was like, okay, I've been doing this almost 10 years. What am I trying to achieve in comedy? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I want to be a great comic. And it was, well, what do great comics have? Well, they have an album. And then the
Mm-hmm.
album just organically grew into a special when a fan of the podcast was like, hey, I have a video production crew. Let's just record this. So
Right.
that just all happened organically. But it was first like, well, what do I want to do in comedy? Okay, well, what does that level of comedian do? They have an
Right.
album. Okay, let's do it. Kind of like you're saying, you're almost like living into your future successful self.
Yes.
I
That's
love
the
it.
hope.
Yeah, that's we are doing, my friend. And speaking of future successful self, I think we did touch on this. Theodore is asking how you got linked up with Brian Regan.
um. Yeah. I'll briefly just say everything I've gotten by people seeing me live. Um. And the late night credit I have and Brian and most work is just someone that saw me and thought I was funny and um you hear that about a lot of people like I think Bargatze got Fallon because Fallon was in the audience. So I think that's a good way to also get over a hump of taking stand up for granted too. Is just pretend that this is an audition. If that's what you have to have the fire under your belly or whatever. Um, so I got lucky that I was just having fun on stage and doing what I love to do, and someone important uh, was in the audience and changed my life. So just from performing.
Yep. And I can say with us doing almost 300 interviews, that's a very common thread with the most
Hmm.
successful comics we've seen is their either advice or their own experience has been, I was just funny on stage and the opportunity happened, you know.
Yeah,
So that's why it is so important. Just focus on getting funny first, and a lot of
yeah.
your opportunities will just come from that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like how Michael Che got SNL. It's like a lot of people that probably people that you look up to now got to where they are because of that. So it's
Yep.
a common thing, and it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do two more here, kiddos. Greg Brown asks, "Does recording and listening to your attempts teach you anything about your delivery tone tempo that you didn't know?"
Yeah, I would say so. Sometimes it's mistaking talking too fast for energy.
Huh?
Uh, I
What do you mean by that?
like sometimes I will talk very fast when it's a thing that gets me excited, like agitated or whatever, and it's like not everybody processes how fast you can speak. You know, it's like
Mm,
most times it's like I guess trying to remember the emotion I'm trying to express, but it's important that they know what I'm saying. And sometimes if it's an anger joke, I can talk very fast uh, in the hopes of them realizing this is coming from an angry place.
yeah.
And then I trip and then I stutter, and then the joke can be flubbed. Um, so it's how are other ways I can show how I feel in this joke and that kind of thing. Also, volume and silence. I'm trying, like, I'm a big Gary Shandling fan, and he says the truth is in the silence, and a lot of people have said that about stand up. Um,
Mhm.
so pausing is I've noticed that. I have a joke right now where I used to be people say swimming's not a sport, and I don't think it is, because when I was in high school, if you were in a sport, you could give your jersey to your girlfriend to wear, uh, and that would get a when I paused, that would get a laugh because they remember, oh, he's a swimmer, he couldn't do that because that's a speedo,
Uh-huh.
and that's not even what my punchline is. But when I say it slower, I get an extra laugh because when I pause, that I get a laugh because they're like, "Oh my god, you're right. You couldn't do that." It's a thing that no one ever thought in the audience, so I give them that chance to realize that before I get to the punchline I'm actually going to.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can learn a lot about delivery from listening back to your sets.
Yeah, and it's excruciating at first, but
It
then
is.
uh, you can get numb to it, and
Yeah.
it's very helpful.
And it's part of that of, okay, what kind of comic do I want to be? Well, the great comics are reviewing and learning and refining their sets. I mean, I remember
Hmm.
hearing when Joe Rogan did a show in Texas earlier this year, like during, like, it was his first set in a long time since quarantine, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like leading up to it, I was like listening to old sets, I was going through my notebooks, like someone at his level was like listening to stuff, refining, like, okay, what do I have here? What is my material?" So
Yeah,
if you want to be a great comic, it is doing those habits of great comics now that'll then propel you into that great comic status.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not stuff you do once you become great. It's stuff you do on. You know what I mean? It's like they have to keep doing it or they won't be great anymore. and that's how they got there. It's like that's the ingredient. Obviously, their talent, but like
Of course.
that's important.
But the work. Yeah. And yeah, the final one here. Let's go to Imri, and I think this will also, Steve, segue into your show this weekend. But Imri is asking Zoom mics, yay or nay?
Zoom mics. I love Zoom mics. I think that they're very helpful. I think it's a safe place to try new. You're in your own home. If you don't have the comfort to take a risk sitting in the most comfortable place in to you, I don't know. At some point, you just have to take risks, and I think it's easier to do it from your chair. So I've done a lot of them. I like them. It's nice for tweaks, and also people are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
It's I find people are more generous at a. I've done a lot of the ones that you guys put on because it's people are more. It seems like we're more likely to watch the comedian here, whereas a mic outdoors or well now it's outdoors, but the mics used to be people on their phone or looking at their notes. But
Right.
right now it's like, oh, there's only 5 of us. I can give you all the 20 minutes of my time and then do the 5 that I have prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Zoom mics, you get a lot of great feedback for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're worthwhile for sure. And speaking of, as we land this plane,
Hmm.
you are doing a Zoom show,
Yes,
correct?
I am. I'm this Saturday I'm gonna be doing a run through of the album. I'm not recording the album on Zoom, but I'm gonna run the material on the actual date I was supposed to record before the pandemic hit.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just like, well, I gave myself this date. I'm still gonna stick to the date that I gave myself.
I love it.
Um, and run the material and I've got a couple friends that are going to do some short sets, but it's mainly just me running the album and seeing doing a long set for the first time in a while and seeing how it flows and if I'm on the right track.
Beautiful. Yeah, so definitely share the link, and I
Yeah,
want to I'm going to go ahead and post this. I was going to save it for later, but I like to go ahead and post it this week so we can promote it and try to get some more peeps in there as well. So
sure. Yeah, it's this Saturday at 8 o'clock. I'll send I guess I'll post the link and then
yeah,
yeah, and it's free and it'll be fun.
yeah, and I'll take for those of you listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, I'll paste it in the show description as well, so you can jump in, and that will be Saturday, October 10th at
Yes,
8 p.m. Eastern. Correct?
correct.
Beautiful. Awesome. So yeah, that'll be good. That'll be a good kind of benchmark in this journey we're tracking as well. So if you've been enjoying hearing Steve talk about the album, definitely tune into that Zoom show and see it in action. See those sticky notes in action. That's gonna be so cool. Is there anything else before we get out of here, Steve?
No, that's it. Thank you so much, Joel. I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Hey man, I appreciate you and all you're doing. You're helping a lot of comics here.
Likewise.
So let's thank you everyone that tuned in as well. People are loving it, giving applause and thumbs up and love. I love it. So that is it. Hot Breathiverse. This has been our second installment of the Steve Rogers Chronicles. We're going to keep documenting his journey into the album. So if you want to be a part of it, definitely join his Zoom show this Saturday and definitely join our Facebook group. It's free. We're doing feedback mics and daily writing clubs and a bunch of other fun stuff in there. So you definitely want to tune into that. And Steve, thank you, Amanda, saying this is great stuff.
Hmm.
She loved it. Thanks, Steve and Joel. Definitely be watching your Zoom show. Yeah, very nice,
Oh,
everyone.
thank you.
Very nice. Holly saying thanks, guys. Well, let's give Steve a round of applause. Go forth, Hot Breathiverse. Subscribe to the YouTube. Join the Facebook group, and we will see you on the next Hot Breath podcast.